David Onama fought like he saw Steve Garcia racking up a shotgun in the back because boy, oh boy, did he fight terrified. I mean, first round finish, Steve Garcia hits like a truck. I mean, immediately had David Onama backing up. Steve Garcia, 6-fight win streak, 7-fight win streak, 6-fight knockouts. Like, oh my gosh, this dude's incredible. At featherweight, where we need fresh contenders, you know, you've got the Youssef Zalals, you've got the Movsar Evloevs, you got Aljamain Sterling, who's not really new, but yeah. But now you also got Steve Garcia. Sean Silva's another one. There's so many new and up-and-coming names at 145. Volkanovski better watch himself because these young bucks are coming, and if you watch Steve Garcia hit, it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, this dude fights like an animal, like a caged freaking animal, dude. He is absolutely incredible. One of my favorite fighters to watch, not because he's the most technical or the most beautiful, but because he is just violent. Before we get into this episode, guys, please link in the description for my Substack and my Discord server. Come talk fights. Also, like and subscribe. You guys know the drill. That's all there is to it. That's you want to get to my heart. There's two ways. One, feed me. You feed me and I'm happy, bro. I mean, give me some breadsticks or some pizza or a steak or a hamburger. I'm happy. But if you're very, very violent, I like you too. This is different types of likes, actually, if you want to know the truth. That's not the exact same thing. That's first was what my wife does. Anyways, he's a great win streak. He's got some really good wins going in, man. Like 6 fights, 7 fights. Like, oh, okay. It's a good win streak, good names on it. We got to go through it real quick. We're already over here in the web, right? 19-5. Don't let that record fool you because, like, he's come in early, lost to, like, a Ricky Tercios in Bellator, which was a decent loss at the time. These two, not so much. He got blasted in the first round in the Jackson Wink card, which is crazy because he's a Jackson Wink fighter. Was set up. Then a Violent Bob Ross loss, which... But like this win right here, the Shepe Mariscal win, that's a good win in hindsight because Shepe's really good. Ontiveros, then you got Mahu Shate, just got blasted in the first round. He's got the tendency to do that because of how he fights. But you go back to his actual win streak, you got Chase Hooper, Nurden Becky, Melchizedek Acosta, Sungwoo Choi, Kyle Nelson, Calvin Kattar, and now David Onama. Like, guys, that is a solid win streak he's got going on there. And all of those in that win streak right there, all of them except for the Calvin Kattar fight was a knockout. The dude's great. He is a threat to the division. And actually, you know what? While we're here, I might as well pull up the rankings. That's what matters most, right? So you come here featherweight. You've got Evloev, Diego Lopez, Yair, Lerone Murphy, Sterling. And you look at what he's got coming up into the future. Steve Garcia, he might jump Pitbull, but that's a fight he can potentially get. Sean Silva's a banger. Josh Emmett's a banger. Brian Ortega, you gotta go. You suck, Brian Ortega. You are washed and done. Youssef Zalal, I mean, he's fighting up. So, yeah, featherweight's a good time right now. It's a really good time. And it sucks to see somebody like David Onama, who's a good fighter. You know, it sucks to see him get beaten the way he did because he really, really took a beating in this. I mean, it's like, it's crazy because, like, you see freaking Steve Garcia start landing on people and they just curl up. The only one who didn't curl up was Calvin Kattar, and he just got beat up for 5 rounds or 3 rounds or however many rounds it was. Steve Garcia hits, bro, like a Ford Escort. You know, like Francis Ngannou hits like a Ford Escort. Oh my goodness. But yeah, this win streak, he's got some good wins. The Melchizedek Acosta, the Chase Hooper, the Kattar fight, the Shepe before this win streak, and then now this fight. Like, that's a really good win streak, and he can start really making a run at the title. But like, as for David Onama, you know, I know he wants to be proud of this performance. You really shouldn't be, dude. Like, you landed 2 significant strikes, literally 2 significant strikes to his 45 or 47. I mean, it was just a horrible, horrible performance. He totally, like, you're getting this opportunity with the main event. You're there to take on a tough opponent. Now, we're not going to discredit Steve Garcia. We know Mean Machine is a lean, mean knockout machine, but like, you've got to go out there and die on your shield, sure, you know, die on your sword. But at the same time, you've also got to not drop the ball in the way he did. He absolutely dropped the ball, guys. Like, I'm going to say it. He fought scared. He absolutely fought scared. Like, there's nothing really to be proud of there. He fought terrified. I'm sorry, I had to say it. As soon as Steve Garcia started throwing and punching, it was like, oh no, what do I do in here? This dude's got a gun pointed right down to my chest. What am I supposed to do? And he curled up. He curled up, Virtually he protested the stoppage, but like, dude, you're taking a beating here. You don't need any more. You don't need any more damage, bro. That's not it. And like, there's two types of fighting scared. There's two, and we're going to talk about it with Jack Dempsey and A Flame of Pure Fire. So Jack Dempsey is one of my favorite boxers ever from the 1920s, and he has a lot of great stories. He took on to win the title, he took on Jess Willard. He was the heavyweight champion at the time, and Jess Willard had a few fights before killed somebody by knock. He was a 6'7" giant, 280 pounds, and he hits him. Let me rephrase that. He knocks the guy down in the back of his head. Boom, hits the turnbuckle. He dies. We still have those problems today in boxing. But Jack Dempsey, all he knows is Jess Willard killed a man. And he's looking at this guy, 6'4", 6'7", however tall he is. He's a Goliath, And he's like, I've got to beat this guy. And I've got to fight for my life in there. And the story of David and Goliath in the Bible. David goes and slays Goliath. But like, he didn't give David a crown to make him a king. He gave him Goliath, right? And that's what happened with Jack Dempsey. Again, this book, in the description, you want to check it out. Fantastic read. Super thick, super detailed. So Jack Dempsey went in there and beat the brakes off of Jess Willard. Dominated him. Like, this is there's rules in place in boxing today, like going to the neutral corner, because of how bad Jack Dempsey beat up Jess Willard. Like, that's how important that fight is. So you got that kind of fighting scared, and then you got David Onama curling up in the corner like, oh, please don't hit me. Come on, bruh. You got to put on a better performance than that. You've got to, because that was absolutely pathetic. Horrible, horrible, horrible performance from David Onama, who's a good fighter, and I think he got the potential to be a top 5, top 10 fighter in the world, but that performance ain't going to get you there, chap. I've been saying chap a lot lately. I don't know why. But for Steve Garcia, like, what's next? Max Holloway, he called out, and that's a big whiff. Max Holloway's at 155 now, and it's like, okay, just no. And I get Steve Garcia, he wants to test the chin, wants to fight a legend. Shoot, but like, no, that wasn't a shot. That was like a full court heave. I do like the Josh Emmett option. That's a fun one. Emmett's on his way out, kind of on the downward trajectory, and Garcia's on his way upwards trajectory. So like, conceivably, you could make the argument for that. But I like the Jean Silva fight. I think that's the one that the all violence bowl, baby. You want absolute violence? Let's get Jean Silva out there. I love it. That is the fight to make, man. Jean Silva, Steve Garcia. Who's the more violent fighter? We just saw Jean Silva get beat up by Diego Lopez, so he needs a bounce-back fight. Why not Steve Garcia? This dude's on a killer win streak anyway. He deserves an opportunity. Throw this guy, throw them in the cage in a main event in St. Louis or San Antonio or somewhere. It's a banger. Like, that's the type of fight that you put on the main event to be a showcase. Like, this is what we're about. So I really want that fight most. Jean Silva and Steve Garcia. That's the absolute epitome of violence. Speaking of violence, but like illegal violence, Waldo Cortes Acosta and Ante Delija. First round knockout for Ante Delija and Waldo Cortes Acosta. What? How's that happen, right? Well, first, Ante Delija pokes Waldo in the eye. And like playing a game of Where's Waldo, he does exactly what you do when you find Waldo in these books. You beat the brakes off of him. And he got the finish. So he thought. Turns out it was an eye poke. It was very clear that Waldo Cortes Acosta, he was covered up, and he was also fighting like David Onama, except he got poked in the eye, so it kind of makes sense, Like, you're not going to be able to fight like that. So the fight resumed after instant replay said, hey, that was an eye poke, and the fight is not finished, actually. 30 seconds later, Waldo Cortes Acosta, big right hand, knocks down Delija. Ground and pound for the win. Really weird turn of events, though, because it's like... So, a little bit of backstory. We'll backtrack. Right, rewind. Ante Delija is a longtime training partner of Tom Aspinall. Now, from my horrible takes, Tom Aspinall poked in the eye last week against Ciryl Gane, and Ante Delija, actually, I'm going to pull up the graphic here. This is one I made for MMAfighting.com. Check them out. Right here. Ante Delija said, I've had 33 professional fights. I've never poked someone in the eye in my entire career. Monkey's paw curls, and it's like, hey, here we go. And he poked him in the eye and then proceeded to get blasted. I'm like, what? And this is the third week in a row. Now, think about this for a second, guys. This is the third week in a row we've had issue with fouls. Kevin Holland got kicked in the nads. On the same card, Brendan Allen beat René de Ridder a couple weeks ago, and Kevin Holland lost that fight. The very next week, you have the Tom Aspinall incident where he got poked, doink, 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 Three Stooges style, against Ciryl Gane. And now this week you got Ante Delija poking Waldo Cortes Acosta. I'm losing track of my words here. But it's crazy because, like, Delija is the training partner of Tom Aspinall, who's going on an eye poke rampage. Apparently he still can't see, which is sad and terrible. But there needs to be a fix to this. And once again, the UFC has a problem with fouls. Earlier in the card, one of the fights, I don't remember, somebody got a point taken away for fingers in the cage. Like, immediately. It's like, yes, let's go. But it's just kind of ironic, going around with these rounds, and Ante Delija is like, oh, I wouldn't fight Tom Aspinall for the title. Tom Aspinall was like, I would drop the belt for Ante Delija. And it turns out Ante Delija is just going to go get blasted by Waldo Cortes Acosta, of all people. Now, Cortes Acosta will likely be, top 5. But the problem with his title hopes is, like, he's lost to Sergei Pavlovich already. Ciryl Gane's obviously the next guy in line. You've got the John Jones, Alex Pereira thing that maybe, possibly, perhaps is a option for the White House. And then after that, how does that fold into the thing? That kind of a thing. And then you got Alexander Volkov, who just beat Jailton Almeida. We'll be talking about Jailton Almeida in a second again. And then obviously Sergei Pavlovich ahead of him. So, like, he has no daylight for a title shot right now. Like, occasionally you can be like, oh yeah, you're a top 5 guy, you get the title shot. He's beating everybody else, which is almost the case with Tom Aspinall. But you've got the Ciryl Gane fight, which has to happen again. Volkov deserves it because he's on a great win streak, and then you're not going to get a spot above Sergei Pavlovich, who could conceivably say, hey, I need a rematch with Tom Aspinall too, because our fight was also on 2 weeks' notice. So, Cortes Acosta he's going to be left out in the cold here. He's going to have to get another 1-2 wins. You could beat a Curtis Blades, and then you could go out there and fight an Alexander Volkov or whoever to get, a title shot. Now, elsewhere on this card, let's see. Let's go back to our handy-dandy web here and get back to our actual fight card. You had Jeremiah Wells and Themba Gorimbo. Themba, I stole a house from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Gorimbo lost to Jeremiah Wells. Yadier Del Valle defeated Isaac Delgarian with some very suspect lines going on there for betting lines. It was like Delgarian was hurt. And now the FBI is investigating the whole thing. Charles Radke defeated Daniel Frunza. Radke, a really good time on the ground. Really did good work with the body triangle and just fishing for a rear naked choke for 3 rounds, eventually getting it. Alan Nascimento came from behind, and Cody Durden was winning that fight. Nascimento knocks him down, or catches him in an anaconda choke. I'm sorry. This was like four submissions on the trot. You had let's see, Billy Alicana choked out Kevin Christian. You had Nascimento's anaconda choke, Radke's rear naked choke, and then Yadier Del Valle's rear naked choke. That was a pretty cool stretch. Timmy Karumba beat Chang Ho Lee. Chang Ho Lee's okay. Karumba's decent too, I guess. Dante Johnson went to a second round against Cedric Dumas. And if you're going to a second round with Cedric Dumas, you might as well they might as well just stop the fight right there and be like, all right, bro, look, no like hard feelings, but you gotta go. If you don't get him out of here in the first round, like, come on, we're trying to get him out of here, and here you are going to a second round with him, and you were like getting beat by him in the first round. What is going on here? Dumas was like doing rolling thunders from like Turtle and stuff. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So I don't like that. If you're going to a second round with him, like, come on now. Now, Norma Dumont's going to fight Kayla Harrison next, and that's probably going to be a charge for Kayla Harrison. Like, she's going to go to jail. You watch that fight with Ketlen Vieira. Norma Dumont won via split decision, and it was a weird fight, a very weird fight. Norma Dumont has no finishing instincts, man. Like, she does not want to kill you at all. Like, I mean, at that third round, when she went for broke, felt like she was losing the fight. She was piecing up Ketlen Vieira, had her against the fence, and was just pop, 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 pop. But, like, the majority of the fight, Norma Dumont's like, pitter patter, patty cake. Like, get that mess out of here. And I like Norma Dumont. I think she's a really good fighter. I think she has really good striking mechanics and really good footwork. Like, you saw in this whole fight when she's on the feet, she's cutting the cage off very well. But, like, the majority of the fight, pitter patter and Ketlen Vieira. And Vieira's like, oh, this doesn't hurt, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot the takedown. And Vieira's controlling her with the takedown. What's going on here? Absolutely just atrocious from her, honestly, if you want to know the truth. Because, it's like, you can't gain her respect. And then in the third round, you show you absolutely could gain her respect. You just chose not to, and you're picking your strikes. Like, you've got really good, you, land punches very well. Why are you not trying to go for the finish? You've got to hit her harder, and we've seen that you can hit her harder. If Norma Dumont put on a bit more pressure with a bit more pop, I'm not saying like Tom Aspinall haymaker pop, I'm taking like, put a little more stank on that thing, boy, because like, that's what makes you so good at fighting. Like, that's your claim to fame. And if not even claim to fame, because Norma Dumont doesn't knock people out. She's been in like 6 decisions in a row. But, like, that's how you gain respect of fighters. Like, if I can put you on the back foot, you're in trouble. And she doesn't do that. Ever. I do like how the judging, though, has been consistent. We referenced Jailton Almeida last week, or a few minutes ago from last week. He didn't do any damage to Alexander Volkov on the top. So, Alexander Volkov got the win. Same thing happened with Ketlen Vieira here. Verna Jandiroba, when she fought Mackenzie Dern, Dern was doing all the damage from the bottom, so they gave the fight to Dern. I scored this fight for Ketlen Vieira based off of, are we using Saudi judging, or are we using the judging we've used for the last decade judging? And Saudi judging, thank God. Or I should say violence judging, because that's what it was. I scored it based on those old rules, and, we're not rewarding inactivity in these last 2 cards, so that's kind of a good thing. It's also good that Norma Dumont won because Ketlen Vieira already fought Kayla Harrison. Gave her a decent fight, actually. It is something fresh for the division, which desperately needs it. You've got Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes rumored to fight. They're probably holding that back for Paramount. But, with Norma Dumont waiting in the wing, you could have her on that, as a backup. And if one of them has to pull out, there you go. I don't think, if you watch, like, let's take Amanda Nunes out of the equation because she's technically retired, right? You watch the Kayla Harrison that we know and love against Norma Dumont, who we saw against Ketlen Vieira. The weak striking is going to be bad for her. Kayla's going to get to a clinch situation, use that gold medal judo that she got, then to get to the ground and batter her up. Like, I need a battered women's shelter after that. That's how bad it's going to be. Like, you can't... Kayla Harrison, it's going to be a good win for her if they do fight. But, like, I don't see Norma Dumont giving Kayla Harrison a hard time. I actually give Norma Dumont a better shot against Amanda Nunes than I do against Kayla Harrison. And there's some reasons I have behind that, because, like, Amanda's been retired for a few years. She's older now. Where Juliana Pena found success with a dipping jab, like, Norma Dumont can kind of build off of that because she's a competent striker, I can see it going well. Now, Amanda will obviously try and wrestle, blah, blah. So, but with the age and stuff, like, she might not be able to. So you kind of take it with a grain of salt, like, maybe not. But, so neither here nor there. Yeah, so this fight, it was okay, but it meant something. It was important, so we had to talk a little bit more about it. Norma Dumont, Ketlen Vieira, Elise Alderaan, and Montserrat Ruiz, unanimous decision. Seok-Hyeon Ko advanced to 13-2. The Phil Rowe, who continues to only knock people out or get beat, lost. And then Talita Alencar and Ariana Carnelossi, a rear naked choke, another submission. So lots of finishes on this card with submissions, which I'm cool with. So yeah, guys, Fight Finders 8, we are scheduling some things for Fight Finders 9-ish now. And I'm getting ready for a big 2026 with Fight Finders. But my favorite series I do, we talk about boxing in the next episode, and we're also going to be going to the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame next year. That's breaking news, I guess. I'm going to be doing that, but that's a end of year thing. So anyways, guys, check out this video. Fight Finders 8 is out now. Beach wrestling, you guys will love it. This is such a fun one, and I enjoyed it. You will too.